Rangers fans, welcome to season 4 of Liberty Blue, the essential New York Rangers podcast powered by Believe Network. I'm Andrew Chelney. That's Nick Zararis. And Nick, the Rangers, huh? I'm struggling to find the words here. They are definitely a collection of adults that are, I think, trying to collectively play professional hockey. That's kind of all I got after the past week.
It's an exercise in self-discipline, and this is one of the great struggles of our time. There have never been more things to distract us, to fulfill in what we want to indulge and distract from what we need to do. And one of the real challenges in today's day and age is being able to absorb friction, being able to deal with adversity, and being able to push through when you have all of these self-interests kind of pulling you in an opposite direction. And for 2 weeks, the Rangers played pretty good hockey. They weren't scoring. The power play wasn't converting. The goaltending was great. You know, last time we did this show, we were talking about how they had conceded 12 goals in 6 games, something along those lines, where they were playing lights out defense and great goaltending, and the offense still wasn't coming. And the Minnesota game last Monday night, that first 10 minutes was about as bad of hockey as they had played all year. That very much looked like an extension of last year's team. Disorganized, disconjointed, lots of zone time for the opposition, of guys chasing the puck, not really being able to get there. And as that game went along, the Rangers got back into it, but you really watched it kind of unravel later in the week on Thursday. And then last night against Calgary, they never even got in that game. I mean, Calgary scores a minute and a half in. Yep. You already know you have offensive issues. So you're down 1-0 2 minutes into the game, and you know you need to score at least 2 if you're going to win. And you know that to score 2, you're going to need to push offensively, which is going to lead to defensive breakdowns. And you get what you got last night, which is a lot of guys going into business for themselves, trying to do anything desperately. I've often made the comparison of swimming against a riptide, where it's not for a lack of trying. You are desperately trying not to drown in the ocean. But if you're swimming head on directly into that tide, it's going to drown you eventually. And that's where the Rangers are at right now. They are fighting it as hard as they possibly can. And that's why they can't get a bounce, because everybody's got to stick up their ass and everybody doesn't want to make a mistake. Lafrenière can't get a puck in the net. Othman with a tap in passes out of that shooting lane. Zibanejad with his umpteenth fan on a shot that should result in a goal if he's half the player he's supposed to be. And when everybody's fighting it, it looks hard. And right now, hockey looks incredibly difficult for the Rangers. There is not a single thing they are doing particularly well, not a single aspect.
The Rangers played a team last night in Calgary where
dead last in the league.
9 games, right there. They were 1-7-1. They scored 16 total goals in 9 games and gave up 34. And they went into Calgary and got lapped. It was embarrassing. That's the kind of effort that it should raise. I mean, if it hasn't already been raised, like there should be alarms going off at MSG and Drury's office and Dolan's office, and this is the kind of loss that it cannot happen. Period. If you want to argue San Jose, they just won their second in a row. They're a scrappy young team that's trying to find something. Yeah, like you shouldn't have lost them, sure. But at least there's some avenue for you to argue that, okay, like at least San Jose, they were still looking for their first win. The young guys stepped up. Celebrini had 5 points in that game. You can talk yourself into understanding at least a little bit why the Rangers lost that game. Sure. That performance against Calgary is nothing short of embarrassing. It really is. And I understand that Calgary is also a team that, needed to win, and they were also really struggling off the gate. They are, right now, they're dead last in the NHL. They have 5 points. But San Jose is on the up and up. They have Askarov, they have Celebrini and Miza and Smith and those guys, and they have these young guys in the lineup that want to take that next step and be a better, be better players, a better team overall. They have something to play for. The Flames are not good.
No,
they just simply aren't a very good hockey team. You look at that roster, and we talked about it in the preview before the season started. Like, we knew that Calgary was not going to be anything. I love Dustin Wolf. That's kind of it. Like, that team is not going anywhere. And the Rangers walked into that game and looked like they didn't deserve to be on the ice.
No, they were flat.
How does that happen?
Incredibly flat. And
no, go ahead.
I want to jump in because this is what we're talking about. And I talked about this last week. I wrote that article for my Substack 2 weeks ago. This is not an effort issue. This is the Rangers.
What's the Substack, Nick? Where can people check out your Substack?
Where So Back Sports is the name of the Substack. But this is not an effort issue. This is a talent issue. It's not that they're not trying hard enough. It's not that they don't understand what they need to do. They fundamentally do not have the guys. They have one defenseman who is capable of moving the puck up the ice. They have 4 forwards over the age of 32, Trocheck, who hasn't played and is still probably at least a week, if not 2 weeks away from returning. They have 3 forwards over the age of 32 who are expected to carry all of this load because on opening night, we weren't looking at Juuso Parssinen or Taylor Radish, who is tied for the team lead in goals now. We weren't looking at Rempe or Edstrom or Sam Carrick. We weren't looking at any of those guys to carry this load. On some level, you could say Lafrenière and Cooley need to do more, and I agree with you, they do. But this team is oriented around its 4 best forwards, outplaying the other team's best forwards, playing elite defense, and relying on your good goaltending. And that's the prospect here. That is the proposition that the Rangers are a limited team offensively, so they need to be great defensively. And for 2 weeks, they were. They still have good underlying results. The problem, of course, becomes how do you convince these guys to stick with it, to keep at it, when they're not getting the results? You know, you saw the comments after the Wild game last Monday where Zibanejad said something to the effect of, "What else would you like me to do? I'm doing everything I can." And guys don't usually say things like that. Players don't usually offer that sense of frustration.
I was there. I was not pretty. I'll say that.
And it's an awkward conversation to be had. And I tie this back to something I talk about a lot, the idea of you ask these guys to do what they're good at. And if they are doing everything they can, and they are still struggling, and because they're struggling, they fall back on their bad habits, the structure breaks down, the discipline breaks down, what does this become if every single night is, well, if we concede 3, we lose? In today's NHL, if 3 goals is an insurmountable amount for you, you're not good enough for today's game. And right now, the Rangers, it is a fight to get to 1. It is a fight to get to a singular goal. And that's with a power play that has all the talent it does, with Panarin and Zibanejad and JT Miller. And you have visible talent. But if that talent does not produce, do you have talent at all? You know, it's the tree that falls in the forest comment. At a certain point, even if you're playing well and the results don't come and everybody starts to get on edge, and that has a trickle-down effect of impacting everyone's performance because their confidence is shot because everyone's antsy, everybody feels that pressure. How do you put this back together? And I don't think this is not a singular reason they are struggling. This is 5 to 10 different things all compounding with each other at the same time, and you're not getting anything to go your way. And when you're up Schitt's Creek, it does feel like everything works against you, where Lafrenière probably should have had 1 goal there. Othman probably should have scored there. Zibanejad probably should have scored there. You probably should have had 3 or 4 goals in that game last night. And instead, because everything is going wrong, you're getting those pucks that go in funkily. You're getting Lafrenière accidentally screening Shesterkin and the puck beating Shesterkin clean. When things are going bad, it is really easy for them to stay bad. And it takes so much effort and so much work to climb out of this hole. And we saw last year's team was incapable of doing it. The question now becomes, where does the good start? You got a good game out of Noah Laba last night, who was the Rangers' most notable player, skating in a straight line, just skating as hard as he could.
Yeah.
That's a starting point. Bust your ass, and if the results don't come, okay, we can tinker things. Because ultimately, you have 2 choices as a coach. We go into the line blender, or we double down on our system, we double down on our philosophy. And right now, they've been pretty reticent to really full scale manipulate the lineup and change things up, which means we need to get back to our principles. We need to play strong defensive hockey. We need to be opportunistic offensively, and we need to start building up confidence, because right now, everyone in this room is on edge, and nobody's going to be able to produce with everybody on edge the way they are. Just flat out, you're seeing it every night. There is no confidence amongst anyone in this group.
No, I mean, the Flames scored 5 goals last night. You know, I mentioned a second ago. Now they have 21 goals scored this entire season, which is dead last in the NHL, by the way, still after scoring 5 goals. By the way, the team that's right above them in second to dead last, guess who? The New York Rangers with 22 goals scored in 10 games. Now, again, you know, some of that is, of course, their inability to score at home ice the first few games, whatever. But point stands is that the Rangers cannot score. So if you give up a goal in the first minute and a half and then give up 5, that game is over immediately. I mean, right now, this is, you know, and I mentioned this to you before we started the recording, where, you know, Mike Comito posted a clip of, you know, in this day in 2014, the Rangers scored 5 goals in a comeback win against the Wild, right? And it's like, that's a 180 compared to what has been on the ice the past 12 months ish of Rangers hockey. Last October, they played well, whatever, and then November came around and everything fell off, and it hasn't been put back on since. It's really, that is such a really great highlight as to where they were, even as close to 2023, right? That was kind of the same vibe that team had, where, oh, we're down 4, that's fine, I'll just come back and score a bunch of goals and win the game. Like there was this aura of confidence and, you know, this idea that doesn't matter what the score is, we can find a way to win a game. And now it is the complete opposite of no matter what we do, we cannot win. There's no confidence. We don't have the confidence that we can win. We don't have the confidence that we can shoot the puck and it'll go even remotely close to the net. Like it's the biggest highlight of that is Brendan Othman having that wide open opportunity to at least shoot the puck or do something, and he doesn't do that, and he passes. Like he hasn't even been around this roster the past few weeks. He's been in Hartford, and he comes back up and does that. Dog, like that. You know, it's less about Othman in particular and more just, this is what the team is. This is an all-encompassing issue. It's this team does not think that any shot that they are throwing at the net is going to go in. That if they don't think they could get a rebound to get it to go in the net. Right now the mindset from somebody that, you know, if you watch these games and you watch the body language and you watch the way these guys handle the puck, it almost seems like the thought process is, okay, we need a perfect pass, a perfect tic-tac-toe play, a perfect whatever, just to be able to score. So if that's not happening, then what's the point of throwing it on the net? And that's, Nick, I'll tell you this, that's not really the best strategy to win hockey games. So, but a lot of that is tied to confidence. When you're not confident that your shot is going anywhere near the net at all times, and you choose to pass up an awesome opportunity to shoot the puck and maybe potentially score, to try to force a pass and maybe not even get a shot off as a result, that's not you're not going to win hockey games like that. Eventually, I don't know how, like Nick, I don't know if you know this, but in order to win hockey games, in order to score goals, you got to shoot the puck, you got to put it on net. And when you don't want to do that, you don't win and you don't score goals.
Yeah, my one friend I go to Ranger games with always says it's like a gun. It doesn't work if you don't shoot it. That's kind of the way you have to think about these things, because it is a confidence thing. And Lafrenière looks like a shadow of himself. Zibanejad is trying his ass off. The problem is he's just not very good, on top of not having the confidence. Miller and Panarin don't look particularly effective. There are spurts of the players we're familiar with from those two guys, but if it is this much of a slog, this much of a fight to convert, that tells you something here is not fundamentally working. They're 6th in the NHL in high danger chances per game. and they are 31st in goals for per game. If that's the correlation here, if we are getting good offense too, not just empty volume, not junk, we are getting dangerous looks on net and they are not going in, that tells us something is wrong. And the confidence supposition is as realistic as you're going to get, because we know Mika Zibanejad is capable of playing good hockey. Same thing for Miller, same thing for Panarin, same thing for Lafrenière, same thing for Cooley. But right now, everybody is feeling that pressure. Everybody understands the stakes right now. And I don't have a great answer for you as far as how this gets better, because the mechanics are there. They are doing what they are supposed to be doing to some degree. And last night's game is very different if, say, they get one of those funky ones to go in, and that changes everything. And that's the fickle thing about hockey. So much of it is about the state of the game, how the game is going, and what that does to guys. So when they come out flat as they did against Minnesota, as they did against San Jose, against the Flames, all three of those games, they concede a goal within the first few minutes of the game, and that kind of funks it up. And everybody's looking around going, oh no, oh no, oh no, it's happening again. And there's nobody who's out there who says, okay, let's get the puck in deep. Let's cycle down low. Let's get our feet under us. Let's get in this game and start to work away at it, start to chip at it. Instead, you get everybody playing hero ball. You get everybody who, I want to make the play. I want to make the play. And it creates this weird cycle where everybody knows what's going on is not good enough. So everybody is trying to do too much. Everybody, as you said, is trying to pass to the pass that's going to put the puck in the back of the net because it's going to be so perfect. It creates a really rough feedback system, because now, even though when they are making good plays to set up these good chances, they're not going in. So guys start to have that frustration simmer. Guys start to feel, oh no, we're in trouble. I need to do something. And you create this trickle down effect where, because they're not scoring enough, everybody's under more pressure. Because everybody's under more pressure, they have to try harder. Because everybody's trying harder, you're more susceptible to mistakes. You're overcommitting. And then the byproduct of all of that is, because you're trying harder, your defense starts to take a slip. And we know that for the Rangers to win the way they would like to, at least right now, their defense needs to be basically perfect. You know, there's not a world where the Rangers are going to score 6 goals in a game and win the game right now. It just,
well, they scored 5 against San Jose and still lost that. So maybe,
that's kind of the point. You know, if you score 5 against San Jose and you still lose, that says a lot about the state of things. It is really bleak right now. And yeah, it's only October. Yeah, they've got plenty of time, but time is an illusion, man. Like, it feels like you have a lot, and before you know it, we'll be at the Christmas break, and we'll be talking about the Olympics, and we'll be talking about where they go from here. But right now, man, it feels a long way away, but it's not going to be long. We are not that far away from American Thanksgiving. We are not that far away from the start of the new year. And then, you know, when does the conversation pivot to, well, we can't trade for help on this team. Okay, what's not nailed down we can trade? And yeah, that's skipping a few steps between now and then. But when things are as bleak as they are right now, there's no help on the way. Even if Trocheck comes back, he's going to take a week or two to get up to speed. Sure. Okay, if you want to call up Perreault, great. Where's he playing? He can't get in over Taylor Radish. Taylor Radish had a hat trick. He's got to go right to the first line. I'm sorry you were a first overall pick and you were on the best line in college hockey, but you haven't paid your dues. You haven't earned your ice time. It creates a really rough situation where I don't see external help coming. Even if you want to consider AHL guys external help, I don't think that's making a material difference to the Rangers' big problems. And when everybody's looking around for someone to do something and nobody can do anything to swing what they need, it's really grim because there's still 72 of these to go.
And I think the biggest key difference too is, you know, if you go back to 2014 for a second, where the Rangers were dog water for the first 2 months of the season, and they proceeded to win essentially every game the rest of the way. The vibe was totally different, because you remember what happened in 2013 where they lost in the playoffs. It's not like, you know, everything fell off the entire year before then, and then they came into 2014 under Alain Vigneault continued to play that way and then all of a sudden figured it out and started playing great. That's not what happened. They were, a relatively okay team. They made the playoffs and they got bounced by, I think it was Boston. And then they fired John Tortorella. They brought in Elaine Vigneault, and then it took a while for the system to come into play. And then all of us, and then they took off. This is not the same situation where you would think that, okay, new coach buff, and they were playing well for the first 2 weeks. Okay, there's a system that's coming into place here. All of last season was a wash. They played as miserably as they possibly could. Okay, that's all out of their system. Mike Sullivan's here. He was, I think this was before the Sharks game in practice. He was screaming at guys and getting them to work, practice harder and all these things, which, by the way, as a pro athlete, maybe I don't know why you need a head coach to do that to you, but that's neither here nor there. The idea was, okay, well, new coach and new system, and there's the early results, while not promising, they were at least playing a whole lot better than what they saw than what they were last year. And okay, there's some signs of hope. There's some light at the end of this tunnel. There's something here that they can work towards, and then they just go all the way back to how they were playing last year because the puck wasn't going in for 4 games. And I mean, at a certain, it's Mike Sullivan can scream at you all he wants and all you want, but if you're not listening, what is all he's doing is losing his voice. Like you can change the coach, you can change the voice, you can change the person that screams at you, but if you're not going out there and putting in what the coach is telling you to do, it doesn't matter who it is. Like you can have the greatest coach of all time. You can have Al Arbor. You can have whomstever behind the bench. If you do not go out there and work on the things that your coach is telling you to do during games, and if you're not talking to your teammates, if you're not, working together and clearing a puck or getting a breakout in, or just shooting the puck when you're in the offensive zone and you have a lane, my God, shoot the puck when you have a lane, please. Then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the scheme is. Doesn't matter what the playbook is. Doesn't matter what, if, let's say you call it, if you have a power play and the head coach is calling a timeout, doesn't matter what he's drawing up on the board. If you don't go out there and you do it, at a certain point, it's not on the head coach. And a lot of last year, I would say it's fair to say that Peter Laviolette had had a good amount of criticism that was fair given what was going on out there. This year, it's like, okay, well, Mike Sullivan's coming in. He's doing, at least from my vantage point, a much better job of managing this team. But the team just isn't going out there and doing what he's asking for, and their confidence is still in the dumpster. Like that's not Mike Sullivan's fault at a certain point, because the confidence was already so bad. It was fine for like 2 weeks, but they just couldn't score. They were saying the right things, whatever. And now it's back to what it was last season. I mean, it's October still. And there's still plenty of time, whatever. There's still 72 games after this. And, the Rangers could win the next 8 games, once this show goes live. And this episode's going to, age poorly and it's all sunshine and rainbows. But the personnel just isn't there, like you said. And, I like Connor Sherry. He's been fine, but that's
not a top 6 forward. Come on.
Yeah,
this guy was in the AHL.
He's not a top 6 forward. Also, but if why is Connor Sherry in your top 6 and Gabriel Perreault is in Hartford? Why?
So my supposition for that, and I agree with you. Like, I would rather try, and if he sucks, he sucks.
Yeah.
I think they're very worried about dinging them up. I think Osman is really only up here as a placation, if anything else, of like a throwing a bone to the greater populace, because they don't have the guys to begin with. And Othman very clearly has just not made any real headway in his game beyond hitting things and having a good shot if he's standing completely still and able to receive a pass cleanly. But the other aspects of his game have not come along, and the defensive miscue was really bad last night from him. But that is, I won't say it's a salvo, but I think that's a real direct from the general manager saying, okay, you want us to bring a kid up? Sure. And throwing him in there, him not looking particularly good. And that in of itself shows, okay, well, do you really want Perot around this? Do you really want Morrow around this? Do you want Berard around this?
Yes.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
But that ultimately, that is not the way decision makers and stakeholders think about these things. They would rather play Connor Sheary, who has no upside to speak of, won't kill you, but isn't very good because it's justifiable, it's defendable, it is a higher percentage play, for lack of a better word, and it leaves us all very unsatisfied. And this was the crux of the Rangers preview episode. Give me something to root for. I'm already starting to struggle with things that I am excited about, that I am rooting for with this team beyond Noah Laba, because it feels like Lafrenière is a lost cause. It feels like Will Cooley might have been a bit of fool's gold last year. None of the defensemen other than Fox are particularly exciting. Gavrikov has been fine, but he doesn't really tilt for offense. He doesn't really facilitate transition play. There's nothing here to be excited about. There just isn't, And we were talking about it before, the Flames. I mean, that's kind of a preview of what you're going to be if you're the Rangers, is what the Flames are right now, where you have a bunch of nice individual pieces. You have the young goalie who's exciting, even though Shesterkin's a bit older, but you can't score. The Flames haven't been able to score for 3 years now. That has been their fundamental issue. You can maybe flirt with a playoff spot. You can be the late stage Lou Lamoriello Islanders of you get in and you get smoked in the first round by a better team. That's your ceiling right now with the way you have built this roster, with the types of players you have prioritized, because there's no help on the way. Okay, you like EJ Emery. Who's he getting in for? Fox, Schneider, and Borgen are all under team control for several more years. And we can't play righties on the left. We know that. That's not in the cards. Okay, where's Brett Berard getting in? Well, we can't. We got Connor Sheary. Where's Gabriel Perreault getting in? Well, we have Taylor Radish. Do you understand? And that's why this exercise is silly, because at the very least, if you were playing those guys and the team wasn't playing well, you could tell yourself, okay, they're figuring it out. They're learning. They are getting a valuable game experience, and it is going to help eventually. Right now, we're supporting families. We're making sure Connor Sheary's family has money to pay for a mortgage and to feed his kids. That's great. That's moral. That's good. People should be able to work and pay for their needs. But that's not helping the Rangers achieve their long-term goal. That's not getting them closer to winning anything. They're an untalented team of expensive veterans who feel the pressure, don't have the means to respond to the pressure, and now we have to deal with the consequences of that.
I think, if you're a team like Tampa Bay, for example, right, where they started off 1-4-2, for one, at least you have cups to look back on, but also, Kucherov was hurt, and now that he's back and the team is remembering, oh, we have to play hockey now, like they're starting to win games, right? Like early starts and the vibe surrounding the starts very much depends on what team it is. A team like Boston, who is 4-6, and by the way, have the same record as the Rangers. Before the season started, we thought the Bruins were going to be the worst team in the East. And yet, through 10 games, they both have the same number of points. And that's kind of where we're at. As from a fan perspective, from a team perspective, from whatever perspective that you want to point to, San Jose is 2-5-2, but their past 2 wins, they got their first 2 wins of the season, last couple of games, and they've fought it out. They're beginning to understand how to stay in games, how to fight back in games, how to, with Celebrini, with Misa, with Smith, with all these guys, they're beginning to figure out how to win at the NHL level. It took them a while. San Jose was miserable for a long time, and they will probably stay miserable for another little bit. But you're beginning to understand why they did what they did. The Rangers right now are holding on to the idea that this is a playoff team. I'm not even saying the two big words right now, right? They're not a contender in any regard with the way that they're playing. They are holding on to the idea that this is a playoff team, that this is a contender, quote unquote, and they're just going to be the Flames. They're going to be the Islanders that are not bad enough to tank. They're not good enough to really make it, deep in the playoffs. They're just kind of there to stay afloat, and staying afloat in hockey is death. It's death, because you're going in neither direction. You either tank and acquire, as many assets as you can, maybe trade some of them for young talent or, a player that you think can help in the future, but again, at a certain point too, it's like the Rangers, do you trust the Rangers to draft well? Like, I don't know. And the funniest thing too is Lafrenière literally fell in their lap. They won the lottery by accident, got the number 1 pick in the draft. Lafrenière was supposed to be the lock of the draft, stud, superstar player. And he's kind of just been there the past year and change now. He's kind of, he's been disappointing. And this is not, this is not rocket science. I'm not breaking any news here, but Lafrenière has just kind of been the guy.
He's plateaued. He's fully plateaued. He hasn't added anything to his toolbox, and it's environmental. It is fully environmental.
Sure. And the thing, and if you are a true number 1 talent, it could be argued that you can get above that, or you're better than that, or at least you can do what Shesterkin and Fox are doing, right? Where, like, even if you don't have the help, you can still try to, drag the rest of your team through a game. Like, you can be that game breaker. Number 1 overalls are for game breakers, right? You're seeing what Matthew Schaefer is doing on Long Island right now. Matthew Schaefer is incredible. And, the Islanders don't have a particularly great track record of player development either. Matthew Schaefer is really good. And it's really, the dichotomy of, the Rangers got a first overall pick and he's been kind of mid for over a year now. And the Islanders got an 18-year-old who's playing better than most defensemen in the league. Oh, that's good. That's uplifting. I'll say that.
We are at a crossroads organizationally, and they have staved it off. They waited an extra year. They bought themselves 1 extra year with what they did last year, with trading Trouba, getting rid of Gaudreau, trading Kreider, bringing in Mike Sullivan. They've tried, and trading for JT Miller. They tried to buy themselves 1 more year. And very clearly early on, the results are not there. And Mike Sullivan is getting paid a ton of money. I frankly don't really think it's much of Mike Sullivan's fault. These are basically the same players as last year, who, as much as we like some of them personally as people and what they've been able to contribute in the past, you got to let the old ways die, man. We've been talking about this for 4 years. Anytime they have brought anyone in, the conversation always comes to, I like the addition, but the ceiling of this team will be defined by what they can get out of Zibanejad, out of Panarin, out of Trocheck. Now it's Miller instead of Kreider, but that's always been the understanding here. This is a group that is going to need to root out any deficiencies at all, because they don't have the future Hall of Famers up front. They don't have the Barkovs, the Kachucks, the Kucherovs, the Stamkos. They don't have those guys. So if we're going with the all 18 skaters and the goalie outplay everyone, you can't have any deficiencies. And as much as I like the way they play defense for the first 2 weeks of the season, that has a very defined ceiling. Being the team that shoots 6%, that does not convert enough chances, and becomes the defense and goaltending team, that team can't win. Fundamentally, where the NHL is at today, you are not going to win with that approach. It's the hand Mike Sullivan's been dealt and what he thinks is the best course of action for the team he has, but it's not going to get the results. And like I've said more than once, this is not a try harder issue. These are professional athletes. They understand that they need to try, that they need to work, that they need to produce. But I can ask a fish to climb a tree and the fish could want to do it. It doesn't mean it's going to do it. As much as I like Zibanejad and I feel bad he's in this situation, he's the professional athlete who has demonstrated the ability to be a good hockey player in the past. And he's a long way removed from being an impact player, in particular at 5-on-5. And he's here till 2030. JT Miller's here till 2030. Maybe you let Panarin go. Okay, we can reassess. We have $15-16 million this upcoming summer. Okay, well, you can't get Kyle Connor. You can't get McDavid. You can't get Eichel. You can't get Kaprizov. You can't get Philip Gustafson. You can't get any of the marquee guys.
Someone tried to argue with me recently that, just because the Rangers would have that space doesn't mean they have to use it. Okay.
Nobody keeps $15 million banked. No, that's not a thing.
First of all, okay. Sure. You don't have to use it. Okay, so you're going to let Panarin go, and you're going to be replacing him with whomst exactly. And, okay, you don't fill up that cap. You don't fill up that space with, somebody that can play first line, elite minutes like Panarin can. Okay, so you're telling me that with Panarin, the Rangers right now are one of the worst teams in the league. They are dead. They're tied for dead last in the Eastern Conference. So if you take this team and minus Panarin, what happens then? You're just going to win 8 games the entire. What's the plan then? Okay, so you're not going to sign somebody that is of, at least of equal talent of Panarin if you're going to let him go, and you're going to replace him with somebody that's worse, and you're expecting better results? Because I hate to break it to you, that's not how this goes.
They're cooked. There's not really anything I can say beyond the guys who are here need to play better. That is the end of the conversation. Help is not coming. You got JT Miller last year, and you could argue the general manager shouldn't have even given that team help, that they would have been better off just eating shit the second half of the year and getting a pick in the top 10. But they tried to salvage it, and they finished on a reasonable enough note that the GM was able to sell the owner on, let me pick the next coach. Give me an extension. I can get a new coach in here and I can get better results out of them. They just need to try harder. They need a leader like JT Miller who's going to coax better performances out of them. And we're a month into the JT Miller as captain experience, and it's great. He's mad. He's disappointed. It's no different than what we heard from Kreider, from Trocheck, from Zibanejad. You can say all the right things, but as we discuss every week, you can say whatever you want. Actually doing it is another story, and he can be abrasive to the guys. Is that going to get better results out of them? We'll see. I'm not necessarily sure that this group, which has demonstrated quite a bit of fragileness over the years, is going to respond particularly well to that. But that seems to be the recourse. That seems to be what the path is going to be, that JT Miller is going to bully his teammates into playing better, or the season goes off the rails, because that's basically the only recourse that's here. There isn't help on the way.
Well, it's the opposite of the Rise Again song when they sing help is on the way. That's not what's happening here. But also, think of it this way. The Devils have won 8 in a row. Do you think they're going around telling people that, we're not going to take the BS of last year anymore? We're not going to do that anymore. We're playing CWS hockey. You think they're going around telling people that? Utah out of nowhere has won 7 in a row, and they're playing really well. Do you think they're telling people last season we didn't play well. We're not gonna take that anymore. We're gonna play a CWS team playing CWS hockey, and we're gonna win a bunch of games. No, they won 7 in a row, and they're playing really well. And it's, you can say whatever you want to me. Show me, don't tell me. And that's kind of the mindset that I have. Whether that's hockey or life, it's just, you can whisper sweet nothings into my ear, everybody's ear all you want. And, and JT Miller and the coaching staff and the players can all tell me and everybody else in the media room after games that they're disappointed, and you can't come out flat, and you can't do you can't look the way that we did, and through 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, we can't go up a goal in the final. They got up 2 goals in the final 10 seconds of the Sharks game of first and second period. You can tell me that we can't do that, and we got to be better, we got to play better, we got to do that. Okay, what are you telling me for? Show me. Go out. Go. You're the guy that's playing. You're the guys that are playing. Show me that that's not going to happen again. Because you're telling me this. It's like the meme of the guy with the hole in the beard. It's like, me. What are you telling me for? Show me that won't happen again. Like, it's if you show us the media people in the room and to the fans and everybody that's watching that you will act, that you are working towards a solution to these problems and you are going out there and you are proving it on the ice, then we will not be asking the questions after every game, because the questions are the same. We're asking the same questions. What's going on? Why is this happening? What's been the problem? And every game, the answers are the same. Where we're frustrated and we're upset. Or we got to play better. All these things. But you're then saying that, great, going out on the ice, and nothing's really changing. So, when you say something to me 48 times, why should I believe the 49th time that you say it? It doesn't hold any value. Go and show me, prove it to me that you're actually fixing it, that you're working on it, that you're changing it. Then we'll have a conversation. Until then, it's a whole lot of hot air, and this team is what it is until they prove otherwise.
So I'll leave you guys with this parting thought before we wrap up. This is what we're talking about when it comes to performativeness. And to a certain extent, that's always been part of sports, is guys have character to uphold. They have roles they need to fill. That's why Rempe fought Reeves, even though it doesn't really have a material impact on the game. Both those guys need to feel like I'm doing something to help. The adult equivalent of where is my hug, when people would say that to people in high school. That's where we're at when it comes to this. It's everybody knows what we need to do. We even know how we need to do it. But because we can't do it, just acknowledging that we need to do it in of itself closes the loop for them. And you can talk all you want about accountability. It's horseshit. There's no accountability. We're not running a meritocracy here. We're running this is what everybody feels comfortable with. And you can say all of the right things, but your actions not lining up with them makes this exercise pointless. You can say all of the right things. You always can. It's very hard to be a professional athlete and say the wrong things to the media now. It is a real shock anytime anyone reveals anything relatively authentically, because of how trivialized and how menial the exercise has become, because everybody has PR training. Everybody doesn't want to make themselves look bad, bring attention to the team. But if you just want to say it over and over again, we don't need a captain. You can just get a tape recorder and play it over and over again. I didn't like the way we played. We took our opponent too lightly. We didn't respect them. You could just turn the tape over depending on what phrase you need, because it doesn't matter. It's great JT Miller acknowledges things aren't good. You are the captain. You are supposedly the best forward on this team. You feel like you're a lock for the Olympic team. How come I don't notice you half the time you're out there? How come you're playing in an important role on this team and nothing is getting done? We are not scoring. You had a 100-point season 3 years ago. You were one of the best players in the world. You're on pace for like 60 points right now. At a certain point, you need to go out there and just do it. It is another thing to say it, right, but actually going out there and materially delivering. This is why we weren't believers in the Trouba as captain idea. At a certain point, if shit is hitting the fan, your captain needs to be able to go out there and just make a play. Not even score a goal. Just go out there, set the tone, make a play, and get your guys behind you. Look down the bench and say, okay, someone has to do something right now. If no one else is going to do it, I got to do it. And that becomes infectious, because if your captain is out there busting his ass, you look like a bum if your guy is out there busting his ass and you're not. That's why leadership through action matters. If you can go out there and you back up your words with your actions, that is infectious. That gets people to believe in you, to buy in. And you don't need corny t-shirts. You don't need slogans, because you go out there and you do it. You're not performing. You actually go out there and do what a leader does. That's why the performative stuff, the accountability, air quotes, it's empty for me, because it doesn't really matter as long as we're continuing to not perform and to not get the results. So if they get the wheels back on the tracks, if they can settle down a little bit, they can have a couple games that are closer to the first few games than the last few games, okay, we can have a conversation about getting our feet under us and maybe starting to put it together. New coach, figuring it out, new pieces, injuries, okay, sure. But if we do another 2-3 weeks of what we've seen over the last 3 games, the season's going to be over by Thanksgiving. It's just straight up. They are not going to be in a position to be not even like good, like interesting. Like they will be so far behind the 8 ball. The entire conversation is going to become, okay, what can they trade Panarin for? How much can they actually get? And what does that mean for the team next year? And if you get to that point where the storyline of your season is trading your best player or one of your marquee players, you don't have much of a hockey team.
No, you don't. And that's the Rangers right now are again at a crossroads of, okay, well, if they play these next few weeks and they show some signs of life and they come back to being at least not this, then there is something that can be attained, right? There's again that light at the end of the tunnel. They're working towards improvement and it's tangible on the ice. And there's something that the gears are turning. But right now, the wheels are rusted. They have the spider webs on them, and nothing is happening. But people are, you hit the button for the machine to work, it doesn't work, and the engineers are looking around the media room, being like, "Oh, but we're disappointed that it's not working, and we're mad, and we'll get to fix it. Like we'll fix it." And then the next day, you press the button, it doesn't work, and everything is the same. And the questions are the same, and the engineers looking around the room being like, "Oh yeah, we're mad and we're disappointed, and we'll get to fixing it right away." And the next day, hit the button. Like you're the engineers. You got to go fix it. And until that happens, you're gonna get the gears that are rusted. They have the spider webs on them, and they're not moving. Show me that you're gonna fix that instead of telling me that you're going to. This team is what the team is until proven otherwise.
So what I'll say to sign off, when shit is going bad, like the way it is right now, you just need one thing to go well. You just need one good shift. It's not a great game. Now, one good shift. You go out there, you put together one good shift, you come back to the bench, you feel good about it. And then the next time your line gets called, you go over the wall and you try and have a good shift again. If you have a shitty one, okay, we come back, we reassess the next time out, we try and have a good one. Your goal right now, when you are in a funk like this, is stringing together as many good shifts in a row as you can. Because if you can string a couple good shifts together, you can get your feet under you. You start to feel like you're in the game. Maybe you can dictate the flow of the game a little bit. Maybe you can get out to a lead. Maybe then you have a good period. And you got to focus on the micro stuff right now. It is about little things. It is about puck support. It is about board battles. It is about putting a pass in a position that whoever you're sending it to can receive it cleanly in one fluid motion and keep the sequence going. When you are up against it, it is about the inches. It's not about the feet. It's not about the miles. Right now, it is about inches. And those inches, as Pacino once famously said, they're all around you. They are waiting for you to take them. And of course, it's the difference between winning and losing are those inches. And right now, the Rangers are losing feet at a time, not inches. They are losing feet at a time. So we're talking about the smallest of small. One good pass, feel good about it, go back to the bench and start over and run it back. It's hard when you're not getting rewarded, and that's why they have struggled the way they have the last 3 games. But the capacity to be a passable hockey team is there. It's a matter of if these guys, because help's not coming, as we've established, can seize that moment, can seize those inches. Because right now, it looks like this is going to be a pretty boring season.
Fingers are crossed that next week, next week's episode is going to be a little more positive. Hopefully, obviously the hope of this show is to not be a negative. Like we want to be talking about, the Rangers are winning, and this is why they're winning, and this is why it's sustainable, and this is why they can achieve success. Like this is what we want to be talking about. Hopefully next week the Rangers give us something positive to talk about. Hopefully they come in to Vancouver and dumpster the Canucks, right? Like maybe they explode and get, maybe they rout a team, and okay, now you can convince yourself that okay, this was the turning point, and now they've figured out what the problem was, and now they're going to go into the next game with more confidence because they've shown they could do it in this game, right? Like little steps, you can convince yourself of that. Now it's still October. There's still 70 games left to play. There's a lot of runway for the Rangers to do this, but they got to start doing it now because the runway is exponentially going to get shorter with each passing game. And if you do not address the problem now, if you're in a car on the freeway and your car is smoking and you don't address the smoke, guess what? You're not getting to your destination. But if you address it now, you might get there. It's all a matter of this, just take it game by game, shift by shift, minute by minute, and just kind of go from there. Build something sustainable and score a goal, get a win. Start building the foundation again, because right now it's cracked, it's broken, it's not getting addressed. Fix the problem and we'll go somewhere.
Every NHL game is 0.012% of your season. You string 5 of those together, you got 5% of a good season. It really is that simple. That'll do it for this week's Liberty Blue. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or over on YouTube. We'll talk to you guys next week, and hopefully the Rangers will remember how to score goals.
Later.